Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Red Door Conversations. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in via Facebook, IG, YouTube, however you follow and find us. We appreciate your time and commitment to us, and we promise to continue to share really good content with you guys. But today, the title of today's show is You're Under Contract, What Could Go Wrong? Before we dive into the show itself, I want to introduce myself and my co-host once again. I'm Kim Dixon Dudley with Kimberly Lane Properties. And to my right, I have
Tana Young.
Marla Lewis of Entourage Real Estate.
And last but certainly not least, Lisa White with GBR Realty.
Hey, ladies.
Hello there.
What's up? Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Yeah, so another episode, another topic, another red hot topic. Stay tuned. This is going to be a good one, y'all. So, but today's show, You're Under Contract, What Could Go Wrong? We're going to be talking about what could go wrong with your contract, what could go wrong with your appraisal, what could go wrong with your inspection, and Lord, what can go wrong with your lenders?
All right now.
I think we all have some stories to share.
Yeah, we do. We do. So it's important, y'all. My tagline on my website and for my company, period, is partnering with a professional.
Okay.
Okay. Good
All
And
right.
And so what that mean, what if I read that, what that would mean to me is partnering with someone that's going to give the same quality and level of service that you know that you're able to provide.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, and most times it happens, sometimes it may not, you know, when you're in a transaction.
Well, you know, Marla, you remember my favorite saying is I don't refer people out. I don't
Yes, I
give
know.
referrals. And I
couldn't
struggle with
couldn't
it.
understand that.
Right. I struggle with it because you know, when you refer someone, that's basically an extension of you.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
that person that you referred them to is going to say, well,
Yes.
Kim told me to go see this appraiser or this inspector.
Yeah.
And whatever happens in that conversation, they're going to hold them accountable, but they're going to be side-eye looking at you.
Yes.
So that's why
Definitely.
I had reservations. I've always had reservations about referring, but our business is relationships.
That's correct.
And
Yes.
partnering with professionals is a big part of what we do so that we
Exactly.
can help our clients holistically. Like it's not just the contract.
Right.
There has to be an appraisal. There has to be an inspection process, right?
That's right.
We're here to guide them through each one of those stages, but you know, when I hand a referral over a client over to an inspector, I'm hoping that the inspector will operate within their level of competency.
Let me ask you guys a question before we get into
Dive
that.
into it?
Yeah, what I found is that when I began to refer someone consistently to my base,
Right.
the level of service seems to diminish sometimes with certain people.
Really?
Yes, and so
Isn't that odd?
that, you know, when that starts happening, that lets me know then I should have several people within my network that do the same thing.
Right.
You think they
That's
do
true.
that there? It's kind of just dropping because they're comfortable with you, and
I-
so they feel like they don't need to, I guess, impress anymore.
Exactly. But I will tell, when I refer people, I say, look, they did a great job for me personally or for this particular client.
Right.
And sometimes I'll have the conversation, like I have a handyman / painter that I refer a lot of business to, and I will periodically talk with him and say, look, I know you've been getting a lot of my people. I just want to ensure that the level of service remains, as well as no price gouging.
Right.
So
And a lot of times, do people always think that if you refer someone to them, you're getting some type of kickback or some type of...
yes, and that doesn't
and
happen.
it-
Not
True.
enough.
And
And it
also makes
happens
you-
sometimes,
Right.
but...
Doesn't happen all the time, but it makes you wonder, should you let your client know, hey, listen, there, you know, there's no kickbacks or anything
Sure.
like that. I'm just simply referring this person to you, this company. You're free to choose whoever you want to choose.
Right. I mean, you would, but if they say, hey, do you have a lender? And you say, well, here are
Right.
my 2 lenders that, you know, do what you need to do. And then they choose, you've still just referred someone, and they've made a selection based upon your referral.
Yes.
So, to your point, Lisa, I thought that if you continually refer people to the same group or location or a business,
Whatever.
that it would be some type of appreciation. Because I'm not asking. We don't ask for kickbacks
Correct.
or
No.
you know, it's
Right.
not. It's not even worth it. I mean,
No.
if you have a really good, solid network of people, you don't need a kickback because the kickback is that we're able to close.
That's it.
Exactly.
And the kickback is
going to.
referring business.
Yes.
You gotta reciprocate.
I was
Reverse
going
reciprocity.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Reciprocity, yeah.
exactly what I was going to say. That, you know, that thing of us just being able to reciprocate the business, that's the best thing of all.
So-
I don't need a kickback.
So
I mean, it's
inspections.
just-
Do you guys have inspectors that you refer
I
pretty
do.
regularly?
I have a list.
I
Yes,
do.
I do. I have a
do,
list.
a list
It's
that
about-
people can choose
about-
from.
3 to 5.
Okay. And what do you let people know ahead of time? What do you give them? Hey, this is the list. This is what I should be looking for. You
This
know.
is well, for myself, it's part of the buyer forms that I have the client sign. It's titled Inspector Information. It lists all the inspectors that I'm recommending, and they will ask me. I have some clients that will ask me, "Well, this is 5. Who do you recommend? Who has the best price?" I said, all of that is, there's variables to that.
Right.
It depends on age of home, square footage of home, and all what you're getting. If you're getting a termite, if you're getting structural, if you're getting sprinkler system checked, all of that is going to determine that price.
What the price is gonna
And
be.
so I do let people know there is one I tell them, look, I've been working with this one since 2005. I've been working with this one since, just to give them an idea. However, I say they're all still on the list because they've all done a great job thus far. I haven't had any issues or concerns. If I have issues or concerns with my inspectors, they come off the list.
Yeah. Yeah. As all of our referrals
Yeah,
should.
Right.
I've
You know?
definitely taken some off the list.
But I do have some clients that still go with inspectors, appraisers, and that kind of thing that I haven't recommended.
Yeah.
And that is when I find where I have the most problems.
Really?
If I have the
Sometimes that's the best way, though.
So you're
Sometimes
not-
that's the better way because, because, I mean, we had a client a few summers ago, and we gave her a list of about 7 inspectors that were on the list. And that client decided to reach out and get someone else. And which is perfectly
fine.
okay with us. As long as they're licensed by the Texas Real Estate Commission, it doesn't make me any difference who you choose.
Right.
But it came back, the house had a lot of issues after she closed on the house. And so in that case, I was kind of glad that
You didn't
You
refer an inspector. You're like, well, there wasn't one of my guys. It wasn't someone I sent to you.
Right.
Yeah.
I said, oh no.
But that can be tricky because it's a home, so it's not a perfect. Like you don't
Yeah.
know. What if this happened?
I did feel like, though, Kim, man, had she gone with, I know at least 3 of the inspectors that are on the list.
Right.
I thought some
Would've
of that
found
stuff that
those-
she
would've
is
come up. Yeah.
experiencing, because people don't understand, too, a lot of times you have inspectors that are, everybody is good within their certain scope of
competency,
work.
right.
Yes.
Right.
And so for that reason, we have to remain in our lane. And if it's something that you are not familiar with, or, there are certain tools that some inspectors use that others don't. For
That's
instance,
correct.
that infrared.
That's it.
Water.
And see, all of that
Moisture
makes a difference
detection.
because they can see behind the
Absolutely.
walls.
Right.
The shower and
Yes.
whatnot.
Yes.
So do you have those conversations with your clients in advance? Hey, your home or your loan is a little unique, and you should have
Absolutely.
someone who
Yes.
specializes in that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
So what do you do when you make the referral and there's some issue that comes up and it compromises the transaction?
Well, the first thing is got to reach out and find out both sides of what's going on. And I guess get the real, true nuts and bolts of the situation. But I think we should do that early on.
Yeah.
As soon as we hear that there's anything that's going, not going so well.
Sideways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to
Absolutely.
say. What I would probably do is get everybody that's part of the transaction on the phone, and or meet,
Yes.
so that we can meet face to face, so that we can come up with a resolution. Always remain. I try to always remain solution oriented.
Yeah. That's good.
And so, if I can come with solutions, I can't say to my client nothing will ever happen.
Happen.
But if I can be that person coming with some solutions, then I feel like the trust will still stay intact.
Right. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Being
And so-
solution oriented, because there are always going to be issues that pop up.
That's
whether
it.
it's on the
That's
appraisal.
the nature of the industry.
It's the nature of the industry.
Yeah.
And so,
Being
if you can be
solution-oriented.
that person that comes up with the solutions and keep that trust, then you still have that person's business.
Absolutely. And that's the main thing.
That's it.
Is that because you're trying to do your best and maintaining that person's trust.
Right.
That's
And so,
the absolute.
as long as you
goal.
remain transparent,
Okay.
then I mean, they're gonna still be Team Marla, Team Lisa, Team Kim, and Team Tana. But it's when they feel that they can no longer trust you. See, if they feel that you guys are partnering in the transaction together, then you have them. But
you
if
know,
they feel like
I take my transactions and my clients' home purchases and home sales so personal. So personal.
Same here.
I have been in the IRS office for 6 hours with a buyer, with a seller. I mean, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Y'all know I can't stand HGTV. 'Cause there's nothing real about that reality.
I mean,
Not at all.
So, but I think people should understand that it's not just
goes
buying
behind.
a property
we
during
get
the
very
commercials.
involved with them. It becomes very emotional for us.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
we spend nights not being able to sleep.
Sleep.
You
Oh,
know, you just lay there
man.
just thinking about it over and over and over again. And what can you do? And what did you not do? And it definitely gets emotional.
I just told
Yeah.
the buyer before walking in here, I say, hey, I'll be available at 1:00. It's me, the buyer, and the lender on a three-way on a text message. I said, I'm available to make runs, do whatever you need me to do.
Right.
Pick up bank
All
statements,
hands on deck.
you know,
Yes,
all
yes.
gift
on
letters,
deck.
whatever.
Right.
Get it
You know,
done.
just get it done. Exactly.
But that's a part of partnering with a professional, being solution oriented, being all hands on deck,
Yes.
being knowing what an inspection means and
Yes.
what the serious levels of inspection, what can happen in that transaction. But that's again partnering with a professional. But when we do engage with our working partners, our appraisers, our lenders, our inspectors, what happens when these folks don't share your level of commitment to the transaction?
Oh my gosh. They've got to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
can't-
you're
you
in the
can't
middle.
work with them anymore.
Yeah,
What if
you're
you're in the
in
middle of a transaction?
Well, yeah.
You have to
yeah.
you have to finish it
You
off,
have to,
but
you
remove
know,
them from your
we
list.
have a
Well, I mean, here's the
fiduciary
deal.
duty to the
You-
client.
That's correct.
So
Right.
we must do the best thing for the client.
say that again.
But fiduciary duty to the
Yes.
client. After that, you've got to go.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
putting the client's needs, wants, and desires above your needs, wants, and desires to ensure that the
client's
best
a-
outcome
yes,
is,
is
for
for
the
the
best
needs.
interest
That's
of the
right.
client.
right, right.
After and continue to keep your game face on with who you've partnered with to get it done.
Get it done. Yeah.
Once it's done, deuces.
You gotta let them go. Remove them from your. They are no longer part of your board of directors.
Yes.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yes.
That's
Now,
excellent.
Kim, you
they're gone.
mentioned appraisal. I want to talk about that a little bit
Okay.
because the appraisal process is something that, I mean, it affects the buyer and the seller in all transactions. So we want to talk about that because I'd like to give those that are watching a little bit more detail on how important the appraisal is, how important it is to have someone who's competent. For instance, we were talking about, staying in our lane, making sure that the service that we are providing, that we're comfortable with.
Right.
I've had to turn appraisers away because they're coming from a totally different
Area.
Yes. Or
Yes.
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 Before we get deep into it, Marla, can you tell our viewers what is an appraisal?
Well, an appraisal is where the lender, whoever is loaning you that money, they want to be sure that the money that they're loaning you is for a
Asset that
asset
appraises.
that is worth the money that they're fronting
Extending to
for
you.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. To in order to pay for this asset. They want to make sure that this is a good asset. This is, so sometimes that appraisal can come back and we all know that it can be a little bit less.
And they do that. That appraiser does that by gathering the homes that have sold within the last
That's
6
right.
months
Yes.
Yes.
in the area that you're purchasing, and that should be within a 3-mile radius. Am I correct? Is it
Correct. 3 miles or
more,
less.
Yeah,
Yeah, 3 miles
more
or
like
less.
2 miles.
Okay.
You want to get 2, and then they can actually do more than 6 months. It depends on where the property is located, because if it's a property where the homes just are not selling,
right.
then they may go back as far as a year.
Yeah.
You know, So it
But
just
on the
depends.
norm,
On the norm, it's
it's
6 months.
Yes.
And so, just to give our viewers who have not yet gone through that home buying process, the inspector gathers the comps or the sales within that community that you're
Right.
purchasing a home in,
Yes.
and based on what has sold, they come up with their opinion
That's
of
right.
what
Now,
they
what the house
correct the
property's
value.
worth.
Okay,
So there's a difference between the inspection and the appraisal. So a lot of folks sometimes they don't know that.
Right.
It seems like it should be pretty evident on its face, but an inspection is an evaluation of the condition of the property, right? And an inspection is something that you can shop for. You go and find your inspection, or your agent refers an inspector to you. But the appraisal,
Comes from the
because
lender.
of some legislation that was passed in
right.
2010,
Right.
Dodd-Frank changed how we go
That's it.
about securing an appraisal for a property. So you can no longer, as a buyer, select your appraiser, or as a seller. The lender, through an appraisal management company,
That's
has
right.
to select
Has to select the
an
appraiser,
appraiser
yeah.
to
And
come
it's
out.
just a pool.
And it's a pool of
That's
appraisers.
correct.
They don't necessarily have to be very familiar with
which
the
goes
area,
back
which
to
is
what
to.
Marla's point.
That's
Yes.
right.
So
That's right.
now,
Yes. So going back to my point, I think that as a professional who is representing my client, that I want somebody that is familiar with the area, and God forbid it's a rural area. Oh my gosh, because it's not going to be the same subdivision,
Right.
cookie cutter type
That's it.
appraisal.
That's
Yeah.
it.
There may be sales where you have to reach a little bit further back or a little bit further out, and you really have to know your what
You
you're
know
doing
the
on your
area.
job.
Yeah.
So if someone is very familiar, we're just going to take Houston. If someone is very familiar and they're located north, which is Tana's area, and all of their appraisals that they've done have been in Conroe, Woodlands, Magnolia, all out there, and then we get somebody that wants an appraisal done in Clear Lake.
It's not happening.
That's not going to be the best person for the job.
Right.
I mean, they can easily go in and
Pull
find
the comps.
pull the comp, but they don't know about the area.
Exactly.
And so they don't know how to add value to the home.
That's good.
because
Let
of
me
the
give a
area.
situation I recently experienced. It was a home in Pearland, in the Pearland area, which is where I reside. And because I've been in that Pearland area for 17 years, guys, and because I saw these subdivisions in neighborhoods develop, I was able to give the history
Important. Very important.
behind why the home may not be selling for what the seller thinks it should sell for. And so I found that seller wanted to get an appraisal done. I'm sorry. And so I found an appraiser that was born and raised in the area that knew the history as well.
Okay.
So we can get an accurate evaluation of it.
That makes a huge
It makes a huge difference because
yeah.
it's some situations that was going on with that particular neighborhood, schools and things like that. And what I also tell my clients, now this person did not come to me to purchase this home, but in any subdivision, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I always recommend to my client, you don't purchase at the tip top of that
Yes,
neighborhood.
No.
You don't purchase at the tip top
You're
because
right
you're
in the middle.
never going to be able to
Recoup
get
that
there
value.
you go.
yeah.
There you go.
So, Marla, you said something
So-
interesting earlier,
Okay.
too. There are all kinds of types of appraisals.
Yes.
So, every appraisal type is not the same.
Correct.
I've experienced a situation where a client was doing a construction addition to the home they're purchasing. So, it required that we hire a general contractor and have a budget that we submitted to the appraiser so he can include that in the comps. So all of that knowledge is what makes partnering with a professional make sense. We
Absolutely.
all know that how important it is to meet the appraiser, sometimes to share comparables, to share what the breakup and demographics of the communities are. So they have a better understanding if they don't already have an understanding of the area.
And I want to say too, with the appraisal, when you're having someone come in from a different area and they're not familiar with the area that the subject property is in, the appraisal, of course, can come back lower, and so it causes us to go back in, and we have to do comps and give it to the appraiser, and that can
if
take
you
time.
are buying a home with a loan, that is a third party issuing funds for an asset that they want to know has the value you're borrowing. Point blank, period.
Yep.
So if it doesn't appraise, that's why it's important, you guys. If you don't know how important your appraisal is, today is the day to figure
Yes,
out.
it is
You know,
very important. So.
appraisals kill or support a deal.
So here's my question to you guys. You're under contract for a certain amount. That appraisal is done. You get that appraisal back, and it's $100K less than what?
Oh, I've had it happen personally. My personal home. I live in 3rd Ward, McGregor area, Museum District, Riverside Terrace. And as you all know, that's the inner loop. And for some time, it had just not been a hot market. So now that's changed.
Oh, yes.
We've turned the corner.
Yes,
And
it
if
has.
you're in
Corner
Tom,
has
if you
turned.
the corner has turned 360
And I'm
turn.
trying to get in one of those corners.
Come on. So yeah, we bought the land and built the home, but the original the second appraisal came in $70,000 less than what we were borrowing. So I had to call hey Clay, let me talk to you.
That's it.
But I had to go through and show him not just homes that have sold, but here are the commercial projects that are planned for this area. So if we have in our area huge national grocery stores being planned, that you have to add value to the homes that are being bought and sold in that area. And if you're not from the
They
area,
just
you
don't know
it.
They don't
And
know.
was the appraiser familiar with the area?
He was not. He was from Tomball.
See
Yes.
there?
See.
That's
Which is
Tennessee.
which is out of town. Which is out of town for an inner loop property.
Yes. But I
Yeah.
wanted to go back and say this, because what I do appreciate about him is that he was able to allow you
Yes.
to teach him
Sure.
and show him
Some are
this
so
is
Because some of
area.
them don't want to hear it.
Right,
At all.
but I appreciate those
Yeah.
that, if someone tells me, hey, I'm from Timbuktu, and one of the first things that I say when representing my client is, well, let me ask you this: are you familiar with this area? Have you worked in this area before? Sometimes they'll say no, and I'll say, okay, that's great. Let me just I'll leave something for you to look at.
That's
and
it.
They can
And that's what I
include
do.
it.
Because
Yeah.
we're not trying to influence.
No,
value.
not at all.
Yeah.
We
You
can't.
know,
No.
we're not.
No.
There's
Not
no
at all.
funny business going on. We're just trying to make sure that all parties involved have all the information they need
Yes.
to make an informed decision and provide accurate and correct information.
Absolutely.
Because as a listing agent, I'm not going to list that property if I don't see the comps to support
Correct.
what's going on. I'm not going to I'm going to tell my client, look, we're going to be in a situation if we go with this amount.
Right, absolutely.
That's good. That's good. Telling people
Absolutely.
up
You have
front.
to be
Yes.
realistic.
Because
and let them know.
I've met some professionals, real estate professionals, that allow the client to lead that, and you
Yeah.
can't do that
And
because
it's-
that's when you get into a situation.
And it's always going to end
Well-
on a very bad note. It'll be a disaster.
Well, I mean, the client has the last say. However,
do.
you don't have to take that listing either.
There you go.
Because if it's not, and that's one of the things on the seller side that we're talking about here, guys, because if you're selling your home, you don't want to price your overprice.
Price, right.
That appraisal is very important,
And you're putting
it'll
your
show you very quickly just how important it is.
and as the listing professional, you're spending marketing dollars, and you want to make sure
There you go. I was
that
gonna
those
say that.
marketing dollars are going towards something that's actually going
come
to
to fruition.
sell,
That's
right? Yep.
So that's a part of the clients looking to us to know more about the transaction, know more about the market. When we were talking about appraisals, what happens is we have to, if your appraisal comes in low, you have to challenge that appraisal. So you need to make sure your agent knows, hey, how does that happen? What happens if my appraisal doesn't
That's
come
it.
in
Yes.
at value? And have a plan of action to address it so you're not caught on your heels
Yep.
if and when it does.
and in a situation.
Yeah.
In a situation, because most times sellers have already found another home. And
Yeah.
so it's adding to that dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So if the seller is already under contract and now they're the buyer and this home that they're selling, then you have a whole situation
There's
here.
so
It
many
can cause
variables.
a
So
train
many.
wreck. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's
know
a-
it certainly happened to me.
yeah,
Before. And
yeah. It,
it can definitely slow down the
Uh-huh.
process.
Or stop.
Or stop.
Uh-huh.
Or end the transaction.
yeah, and everything is just done. Right. So people always feel like realtors make a ton of money, and we do well. However, we put the work in.
Yeah.
We put the
Yes.
work in.
It's not
It-
just
it's-
showing you a
yes.
house and
Yes.
we
Putting a
meet
sign
you at
in
the
your
title
yard
company.
Yes, we put the work in. We're up late at night trying to figure out before we restarted the recording. We said we're up late at night. Sometimes we can't sleep because we're coming up with solutions to make sure everything fits and takes place like it's supposed to. So Marla, did you say everything that you wanted to say about appraisals? Did we discuss
did.
all of that?
I did. I basically wanted, everyone to really understand what an appraisal is, how it affects your transaction, whether you're the buyer or a seller. And so I think we've got that clear, but they can always reach out to us. People know how to reach us so that we can give them more information if needed. Now, moving on though, we have other partners that we work with, right? Let's talk about that.
A whole bunch of them.
Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about referrals, because
To other
as-
agents?
Yes.
Okay.
Because as agents, that's another
That's good.
partner of ours, correct?
Another partner, and it could actually, for the real estate professional, it could actually be another viable leg of business.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
It should
Yes.
be.
Yeah.
It should be,
Yes.
actually.
It should be.
And and I'm gonna tell you how important referrals are to me. You guys know, a couple weeks ago I went to my Delta National Convention. Barry had one plan. However, my initial plan, we have a group on Facebook in which we connect and refer, to different agents. And I actually was setting up a meeting spot
Oh,
so
that's
that we
good.
could, all come together and put faces with names and all of that. However, we didn't get to do it, but I'm just supporting what you're saying about referrals are very important. And it was important to me to meet some of the women that I'm referring this business to. So,
Yes.
it is a viable part of your business, or should be another leg of business. So let me ask you this, Marla. When you receive a referral from someone that's in another state or city, what is the first thing that you do?
The first thing that I do is I thank them first, because,
That's
like
good.
we said, it is a viable leg in my business. But one of the things that I do is reach out to that agent and find out what it is that they know about the client. How can I help serve that client? A lot of times, many times, you have agents that they want you to refer, but then they don't want you to do anything else. They don't want you to ask any other questions. They don't want you to, and it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times that client was really hoping that they could work with the agent
Yeah.
that they reached out to in the first place.
Right.
And so with that being said, I want to make sure that I'm clear with that agent that, hey, I know that you know that market. I know that you're doing your thing in that market. However, if you could keep me abreast so that we can make sure that the communication,
is open.
yes,
That's right.
is there. They're hearing, the same thing from you that they're hearing from me. I'm able to explain to them, if they have questions that they didn't quite understand with you.
And what I'm always mindful of when I receive a referral, that person, that agent that referred it, that's who that client has the trust in.
That's right.
relationship.
Yes,
and
and
so
That's
have
what
that
I'm
relationship.
saying. Yes.
And because
Yeah.
of that, I know, like for me, I'll put everyone in there's two things. They get CC'd on emails, and I don't mind including them in a group text, so that way everyone is on the same page at all times.
Absolutely.
So, like with every other referral, we send someone to a lender or a realtor. It's just good to have a weekly follow up. Hey, post check. What's going on?
Yes.
Can I help?
Absolutely.
Also, can I help with something? They may be stuck at some point and not getting information from the client, and it's something that we could help to push the deal along.
Absolutely.
So, let me tell y'all a pet peeve of mine.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
Oh boy, let me sit up and sit back for this one.
You know what I cannot really stomach?
What's that?
You know when somebody says, "Oh, I sell all over Texas."
Yes.
You can't even sell all over Houston
Yes.
effectively.
Yes.
Just because your
Yeah, they are
license
the
is
super-
active in
You
Texas.
didn't know they have a cape.
Wait a minute. Kim, that is a pet peeve of hers because Kim is staying right there in that loop.
That's right.
That's
Now
my
she-
wheelhouse. I
Yes.
know the loop. That's my
Yes.
space.
Yes.
Now, when I get ready to go to spring, guess
That's
what?
right. That's right.
Or Tomball, Clear
Mhm.
Lake, Pearland, then I can refer.
Yeah.
Girl,
Yes.
you close enough to Pearland. You gonna
Absolutely.
take that list.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You close enough to Pearland, baby. You gonna take that.
But it's
Now,
tough.
if you need me to
It's
check
tough,
on it
though,
to show
right?
it for you, then I'm available.
You available?
Yes.
Okay, I need to hold you to that.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, ask Tim.
I
did
mean,
for
because
Tim.
I've
Tim, did
definitely, I've had to call Lisa. Hey, Lisa, can you help me out? You're in Pearland. My client is in Pearland. You know, so she's definitely had to help me out.
Slipping.
Yes.
That's what I'm
yes.
saying.
North.
Wait a minute.
I got
And
called.
Lord
I'm
knows
not.
I called on Marla, girl.
Marla's had to call
Key.
me
Super Key
sometimes.
just
Stopped
didn't
working.
work.
Yeah.
I'm at the property. I done met the people at the property and everything. And the
Nobody understands the pain of a
Oh,
realtor. When you
girl.
get to that door
And the
and the super
key
key won't
doesn't
work.
In
I've
the
had
heat.
to reset
and it was
the
in
call.
Clear, it was in the Clear Lake area. Girl, Marla
In the
came
heat.
right on.
Amen.
In the heat, yes.
Amen.
In the
In
heat.
real
That
estate.
is look, that's enough to make your hands start shaking
Oh,
and
the
you
sweat.
activate
And
your
so
sweating.
here's the deal.
Ooh.
When this one called, I'm showing up.
Amen.
Do you hear me? Y'all better believe it. Okay, when any of them call.
funny.
But here's, baby, Marla didn't know me from a can of beans.
And she showed up with the super key in hand.
What?
Yes.
See, y'all don't know about that.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the
When the alarm is going off and nobody sent you the alarm code.
That's it. And you looking crazy.
Centralized showing.
give
Approve
it
the
to
listing, but never approve the listing. Have y'all had that happen?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
So, we're under contract.
Bring it back
so
in.
what could
I sell
happen?
all over Texas. No,
I sell all over Texas.
Pet
It's
peeve,
not,
yes.
it's not even an option. You don't sell in El Paso. You
So-
don't.
So let me ask you ladies. Part of the real estate transaction is the lender, and I think we touched on this a little earlier, but I don't
we
know
did.
if we
We
delve
didn't
into
go
it
in.
like the listener needs to hear.
Okay.
Okay. Again, we said the lender is the person that is loaning the money.
And I would argue probably the most important part of the transaction once you're under
Yes.
contract.
Once you're under contract.
The lender is the most
Thank you.
important.
Mhm.
That's
Thank
the,
you.
That's the person
And for
helping
many
to
reasons.
write the check for your purchase.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so that lender is really working hand in hand with the realtor, and we're all BFFs at this point.
Yeah, we have to be.
When when you're looking for a home, your realtor, your lender, and your spouse, of course, everybody is we're BFFs at that point.
Absolutely.
And so the trust should be there.
Yes.
That's where I'm going with this. The trust should be there.
Communication and trust.
And so when you decide to go with a certain lender, here are some questions that you need to ask this lender to make sure that they are competent in order to get your transaction closed. Because in all of this, competency is what's going to get it done. You need your realtor needs to be competent. Your
Yes.
lender should be competent. And when I say competent, able to operate in their specific area, giving you sound advice and judgment and guidance. If that is not happening,
Options.
Yes. It's not going to be good. It's
Right.
not going to be good at all. Everyone needs to be able to communicate, because that's one of my pet peeves. When I'm working with a lender that I don't know and I'm trying to get information so I can do a better job, but the communication is not there. I'm calling, I'm emailing, not getting a response. You know, I need that communication. I need to be able to communicate with you, and we should all be on the same page.
Now, when that's happening, are they at least communicating with the client?
Sometimes.
I've had that happen, yes.
Sometimes.
And I'm just, you don't get all the information, so you're sitting there going, what the heck is going on?
And so for me, a pet peeve of mine when working with a lender is if we're at a critical point in this transaction, and critical point means that something is not going as expected. We're near the closing date. Some issues have arisen, and that lender is non-responsive,
or cavalier in their response. I don't get that. That is the part that does not sit well with me, because it's not just a transaction. People have to plan for their kids to enroll in school.
That's it.
Exactly.
There's so many lives
And moving
affected by
parts.
you being able
Yes.
and willing to do what you
And we
say
all have
you can do.
deadlines. There's deadlines like crazy. There's deadlines on the third. There's deadlines to obtain the financing.
Right.
And
That's
if
on
those
the
deadlines are
third-party
not
financing.
met, then you stand the chance of fees being imposed.
Yes,
Or
earnest
losing the
money,
deal.
Or
losing the deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
A
Neither
seller
are
doesn't
good.
have to extend a contract
That's
several
it.
times. So
That's
you've
it.
committed to close on a certain day. So that communication is key. I communicate with all parties every week. Everybody in the buyer or seller more often, but all the other parties who are or need to be
Yes.
engaged. Title
Absolutely.
commitment. Do we have a tax cert?
Yeah.
Those type of behind the scene things that we need to just make sure are happening and taking place. But sometimes people don't always give you the truth.
And so what do you do when that happens? How do you handle that? When you're working with the lender in a specific transaction and they're not transparent with you.
Transparency.
And so
Well-
how do you handle that, Marla?
Let me back up, guys, because I want to say something that's very, very important. When you're working with the lender, though, I do want to send this message out because it's very important. When you are working with that lender and you're under contract, now what do I do? Well, what you do is you listen to your lender, and if your lender needs something, don't have them wait a week
Yeah.
to get
Yes.
updated
Yeah.
bank statements. Don't have your lender wait a whole week for
It's
you
critical.
to,
Timing
give them.
is critical.
It is very
Everything is
critical at
timing
that
of the
point.
issue at
You
every
have
point.
to be ready, and that's one of the things. Talking about competency, that's one of the things that I make sure that I express to clients. That hey, I want you to go ahead and just pull it all out, pull everything out.
Right.
Pull, well, Marla, will I need my 2016 taxes? I don't know. Pull that
it
out
out.
too,
Right.
because in some cases
it
2
on.
You
years,
may
some
need
cases
it,
3
yeah.
years, whatever. Have everything ready to go. And if they do that, then the lender will have the information that they need in order to get the work done that needs to be done while we're waiting to close on that particular
That
property.
is a good point.
But
Yeah.
then going back to what you were saying, Lisa, is that if the client has done those things and the borrower have already submitted everything to that lender, then it's imperative that that lender is transparent
That's correct.
and that lender
So to answer the question, you're under contract. What could go wrong? Everything could go wrong.
Everything can go wrong.
We've
And
just
you
talked
need to have
about
a good agent. You need to have a
Yeah.
good team,
Good
a
team.
really good team.
and
get it back
and
together.
communicate. And sometimes people try to play their cards close to their chest, but everybody involved should be motivated to achieve the same goal, which is a closing on your behalf if you're the seller or on the buyer's side.
Because everyone shares a common goal,
Goal,
which is
right.
to provide a good service to the buyer, so that way they can get to that closing table.
And
So
the one piece of advice that if I had to give to everybody that was a part of the real estate transaction, that being the buyer, the seller, the lender, inspector, appraiser,
What's
realtor, be all in.
be all in.
Be all,
Oh, that's so
be
good.
all
That's
in.
really good,
I tell my
Lisa.
buyers, I need you to be all in. My sellers, I
all
need you to
in.
be all in.
Right.
Because, hey, if I'm all in, if I'm dragging you,
Right.
I'm tired. When we get to
Yes.
the closing, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Be
And
all in.
So you guys, before we wrap up the show, because this time is
it
went
went,
quick.
it went by very quickly.
Wow.
We did not discuss
Our
A red hot topics.
Ooh.
All
Tan
right.
is our red hot topic queen.
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
Let's get into it.
we're going to talk about now. I don't know if you all have seen The Lion King.
No.
Have
I
you
have
all?
not.
So you didn't
My
see,
have
kids
not.
have. They went
Not
with
yet.
field trip at camp.
but did you guys see Lion King 1?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What did you think?
Yeah.
What did you?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, hey, you'll be surprised.
Really?
It's rewatchable.
What did you?
Yes.
What did you think about Lion King 1? What did you like about it?
I
you
loved
can re-
everything about it.
Yeah, the
Lion
story,
King 1,
the
Lion King 2. I loved everything about
Okay.
it.
characters.
Yes.
So I did go see Lion King.
Okay, so tell me about it.
The beginning, like when it first came on and the music, I was like, oh my God. I was all excited. The movie, I want to say overall, it was a good movie. What kind of bothered me was I felt like the movie was rushed.
Really?
It felt rushed to me.
Oh, don't tell me that, Tana.
It felt rushed. And I'm sorry, guys. It did. It felt rushed. But also, what bothered me was just seeing the characters. They seemed so real. You
Too
know,
real?
it was too real. I'm like, well, I want the animated Simba, and I want the the one, you know, the cartoon. I'm sorry, looking Simba and the cartoon looking Scar. And
They look like real.
they just look
animals.
too real.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, you know, Scar was looking like a little thug.
What?
And-
What?
I'm not gonna do no spoiler.
Don't do a spoiler. Well, Mike.
It was overall, it was a good movie. The soundtrack.
He said, "Look the
Wow.
over there."
Okay.
The soundtrack, I know it's gonna be really good. The music, everything was great, but it just wasn't.
So the music was. Good.
It was the music was really good.
So
yeah.
Mike, our
I am not
producer
in-
had a
Mike.
comment that's floating around in all social media right now. We're not gonna bring you on, Mike, but everybody is up in arms about Beyonce's voice.
What
And
about
y'all know I'm a
voice?
part of the Beehive, so
And
don't
I am
blame
I am a
goodness.
Beyonce fan. I love Beyonce, but I have to agree. When I heard her
What?
voice, I was like,
What did it sound like?
Yeah, what was
it
wrong
just
with
sound. Well, it's gonna be a spoiler alert.
No,
you guys
you
gotta
can
go
tell us.
see
You
it.
can tell us.
Okay.
This is a safe place.
And I like Beyonce, but I don't know if I'm part of the Beehive.
I'm
I
a
know,
part of the
right?
Beehive.
She just sounds the
I'm gonna
same.
tell you right
She
now.
sound the
like her a
same.
lot,
That's
but
what
I-
a lot of people
I don't know
said.
if I'm,
Sound
I'm
the
all
same.
in on that one.
A lot of people said she sounds like the same character she plays on every
Yeah.
movie.
Got it.
Kind of like
Okay.
what's his name? What's that one actor's name? The guy with the light eyes.
Oh, wow.
Hustle and Flow.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Lucius.
Lucius. Yeah.
I know.
Terrence Howard.
He's another one. He just cannot change
His
voice,
range.
his range. And see, I look at that. If you're a good actor, you should be able to change your range. Denzel Washington is one of them. He can change it up.
But see, Tana, you know about all of this producing.
I'm
this,
just like,
you know more about this than the average person.
Yes.
Beyonce.
Yes, she does.
Yes. And so I feel like you are kind of, your opinion is coming from a professional perspective. Someone like me, she was great. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, everything was fabulous. A 10.
Well,
Two
you just go
thumbs
ahead
up.
and watch the movie. I want you all to watch it. Maybe we can go see it together. I don't know, but you all need to watch the
Siskel and
movie.
Ebert.
I like
Watch the
everything Beyonce. I like Fighting Temptations. I like what was the crazy movie she with the wig?
What was
The-
it?
Austin Powers.
Oh,
Yes, that's
yes.
it.
See, I think I'm more so of a Jay-Z Beyonce fan.
You like
with
them
them
together?
together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I like
Okay.
her because she represents the
Huge time.
She
Yeah.
represents.
Absolutely.
I don't
She's
care.
a wonderful. She's an outstanding performer. Not too many
Yes,
people can
give
do
a
what
great
she does.
concert.
Yeah.
Yes.
She can definitely hands down. But the whole Lion King.
The voice.
Mm.
What does
I
she
would-
sound like, Tan? I'm
Wait a
trying to
minute,
get you
we
to
gotta
say
get
it.
to our last hot topic.
Oh, do we have another red topic?
We have one more. And this
Yes.
is
No,
yes.
we have
Uh-oh.
a shout out to a small business.
I thought we were going to talk about the Arizona, the
Oh,
AC
yes,
guy.
It's
We
so
need
hot.
to
Yes,
talk
I
about that
want
because this
people.
is serious.
Yeah, we got
Yes.
a
They
minute
feel
and 6
obligated.
seconds to
Okay,
get
Okay,
done.
so guys, we want
This is
y'all
very
to
serious.
stay cool. Did you hear that a AC air conditioning technician was found dead in an attic in Arizona? Stay cool. It's very, very important. I know we're used to the heat and it's summertime, but do your best to stay cool.
And just real quick,
Hydrated. Stay hydrated.
He was found dead because he was performing an inspection. Is that it?
He was doing some work in an attic
Oh, wow.
For a
Yes.
customer.
for a
Yes.
customer, yes.
And see, I just have to say this really quickly. That is the reason why you have to know how to say no sometimes. If you know the heat is just it's too hot.
Yeah.
I know you got to make your money, but you have to say no.
Or just come early in the morning or late in the
come
evening.
early in the morning.
Not
yes.
in the middle of the day.
True.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, was he
Yeah.
a new?
I'm
new,
not sure.
How
MC?
do you?
Not sure.
How exactly does that happen?
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
up
you
in the
not
attic
know when
before.
you're
It's
when
hot
you're
as
just
hell.
kind of a little hot. Don't you try to find some?
Girl, look,
Yeah,
I have
but
been
you
up
could
in an
pass
attic with
out.
an
It's
inspector
so
before.
okay,
hot.
maybe he passed
And I
out.
felt like I was
Yes.
going to pass out.
All
Well,
right.
ladies, 45 minutes came.
just goes
quicker
fast.
I've got to
than
send my
we
shout out
thought.
to my small business.
Okay,
Yes,
go ahead, do it.
Massage by Design. Her name is Valerie. You guys, she is amazing. And her phone number is 281-546-2961.
She works magic on you.
Yes, she does.
Okay,
All right.
we're going to have to check her out. We'll be putting all these links, anything that we discuss, we're going to put them inside of on our YouTube. So you guys make sure that you go to our YouTube channel and you click subscribe.
And we
right.
thank you for having this dose of melanin on today. Yes.
Kind of
Yes. Exactly. You guys enjoy.
And
Yeah,
we'll
right.
see you on
Wonderful.
August the 9th. Our next show is
Yes,
August the 9th.
yes.
So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Bye.